So you're sick and tired of the darkened underarms and the darkened bikini line. Now the YouTube girls done told you that they use baking soda and cake mix or whatever they be using to clear their underarms, and it got light and fast in 30 seconds, in a day, a weekend. But you tried it and it ain't working. Here's the problem. If you keep removing the hair, you increase the likelihood of the discoloration coming back. And that's why a lot of derms will tell you to get laser hair removal. But should you? Well, probably yeah, or maybe. Alright, let me explain. So first things first, there ain't nothing wrong with having body hair, and you don't have to remove it, but you can, and I'm guessing that's why you clicked on this video. Also, as I have said many times, discoloration can be very normal, especially in areas of high friction, because it helps to facilitate the way that we move in between our thighs, the elbows, the knees, knuckles, so on and so forth. And yes, there are lasers for darker skin. There have been for a while, so you might be a little bit on the slow bop if you ain't know that. And also, you can get laser hair removal if you identify as male. So the lasers that are used for darker skin are typically either the diode or the ND-YAG. And you ain't gotta be a scientist to understand this. But the basic idea around lasers in general is that they look for the hair and then they zap it. Now, older lasers, and I'm talking about probably back in the 90s, couldn't tell the difference between the pigment in the hair and the pigment in the skin. And for us colored folks, that can speak disaster. On the contrary, however, lasers that are used for darker skin are able to be like, alright, this is the hair or the targeted area. I'm only messing with that, and I ain't messing with the surrounding tissue. However, lasers aren't able to detect gray hair, but we'll talk about what you can do instead if you have gray hair. So that was a super simplified explanation as to what the lasers can do, but here's a warning. It is not simply enough for a place to just have the right laser. They also need to have the right person using that laser that knows what they're doing, that has receipts, that they know what they're doing when it comes to skin of color. Go to the wrong person with the right laser and you can get burned or worse. And now, not only do you have the unwanted hair, but now you got the burn, the keloid, or whatever they done jacked you up with because they ain't know what they was doing with that laser. How does laser work? So laser hair removal works by permanently reducing the hair regrowth cycle. So for some people, this means you ain't never gonna see them hairs again. Now for some people, that hair may come back eventually, but it's a lot finer than what it was before. It may not even be that noticeable. You can get laser hair removal damn near anywhere you feel comfortable. I've gotten it on my chin and jaw area, on my chest, on my bikini area, underneath my arm. It can take about 8 to 12 sessions spaced about 6 weeks apart to complete your laser hair removal. To clarify here, that 4 to 6 week spacing is in between each session. So you get a session, wait 6 weeks. You get another session, you wait 6 weeks. This ain't no one and done kind of thing, but even for some people after their first, second, or third session, you may see a drastic reduction in hair regrowth. But like I said, it's gonna need about 8 to 12 sessions in total. And then for some areas like the chin, because chin hairs are typically caused by hormones, that can be a little bit tricky and that may take even longer. For some people, not everybody's the same. Does it hurt? Now everybody's pain threshold is different. I personally would say that it kind of feels like somebody's like pricking a rubber band at your skin or like little pricks into your skin. There are some areas where it may hurt a little bit more than others, because I know sometimes they get to certain areas in the underarm or in the bikini area and it gets a little spicier. However, it lasts maybe 10 minutes tops, and for me, I'm getting underarm and bikini in the same session. And that accounts for times where I need to take a little break when things get a little too spicy and I'm like, give me a break, we'll start up again in a second. It's a pretty quick process each time. Now I realize some of you are big babies, and if you get your laser hair removal done in a medical facility, you can get numbing cream. I've gotten numbing cream when I've gotten laser hair removal from my face, which I've gotten done at my dermatologist, but for the underarm and the bikini area, I go to Laser Away and they have this like cooling device that blows cold air on you to help alleviate any discomfort. That actually helps a lot. But it can hurt, but it goes by quickly. I gotta keep it a buck. Waxing was more painful for me personally than getting laser hair removal. After each session, you should be given some post-treatment instructions. Nothing crazy. Basically that for the next 24 hours, you don't want to be, butt naked out in the sun. You don't want to do any heavy sweating, so maybe lay off the gym for 24 hours. You don't want to go swimming. Basically, take it easy for 24 hours and then, go on as you normally would after that. You also want to moisturize the area. They'll probably give you something that you can use at home, or if not, the stuff that they give you is not that expensive. It's like aloe vera, some cortisone cream, and some petroleum jelly to help soothe and moisturize the area. Now, you may see a little folliculitis afterwards. Those are those like tiny little bumps, and those usually go away on their own. Don't be picking them. However, if something seems strange, out of the ordinary, or you just like, I'm confused, what is this? Go ahead and call that facility and let them know. Like, don't be afraid. You done paid your money. They need to answer your questions. Where should you go to get it done? Now, me, myself, personally, I think that you should get this done with a medical professional, somebody like a derm or a nurse or physician assistant, or at least have a medical professional present. However, currently in New York, there is no law requiring that the person performing your laser hair removal has to have a medical background, and you don't even have to have a medical professional present when you're getting your laser hair removal. So with anything, make sure you do your due diligence and checking in on the place and their receipts and so on and so forth. Whether you go to one of these places that doesn't have a medical professional, or if you go to a medical professional. So I've gone to my dermatologist for facial laser hair removal, and then, cause I like Dr. Michelle, but I didn't think Dr. Michelle needed to be all up in, my stuff. So I went to Laser Away for the underarm and the bikini area. I would say I've had great experiences with both. When I went to Laser Away, the very first session, the nurse forgot to cover my tattoo that I have in between my thighs. Thankfully, it healed eventually, and there was no damage to the tattoo. But I haven't had issues since then. As a matter of fact, I wound up adding on additional services. I got added on the chest because, I get a little taco meat, and when you get the taco meat off. Now, I'm mentioning Laser Away because that's where I went. I'm not telling you to go to Laser Away. I'm telling you to do your own research, okay? How much does it cost? So cost is obviously going to vary from place to place, and if you live someplace like New York City, the prices are going to be more than like, somewhere in the middle of the country. But the prices can also vary depending on who you go to. So obviously going to a medical professional is going to be more expensive than going to someone who's not. And then where on your person that you get the laser hair removal is going to vary in price, with larger areas like your legs and your bikini area obviously costing more than smaller areas. But from what I have seen, you're looking at an average cost of about $100 to $800 per session. Sometimes you can buy a package that reduces the per session cost. For example, I paid probably about $3,000 or just under $3,000 for both my underarm and the bikini area, and that's inclusive of 8 to 12 sessions for each area. Now that sounds expensive, and it can definitely be expensive. However, if you're somebody who waxes regularly or sugars or whatever professional service that you do regularly, once you add that up over time, you can wind up paying more getting waxed than getting laser hair removal. What are the pros? So as I mentioned before, it permanently reduces the hair growth to where you either never see a hair again, or if you do, it's finer and less apparent. You also don't have to worry about ingrown hairs when you get laser hair removal, which can greatly decrease the likelihood of you further darkening areas like your underarm or your bikini area, which you would normally get with any type of frequent hair removal. Like I said, you don't have to remove your body hair. There's nothing wrong with body hair. But if you're someone who likes to remove it, having laser hair removal can make you be a little bit more spontaneous, if you know what I mean, and I think that you do. What are the downsides? What are the cons? Well, number one, go to the wrong place, wrong person, and they can jack your ish up. This is why I keep stressing to y'all to go to a place that has receipts, that they know what they're doing with darker skin. Also, because everyone's skin is different and we're all sensitive to different things, they do a patch test just to see how your skin can react to it. Now, if you got really, really sensitive skin, you might have a harder time. I don't know if you can count this as a con, but I've often read in comments where people say that they got one laser hair removal session and got mad because the hair came back. And they're like, it didn't work. But it does take time. You need the 8 to 12 sessions. You might see a reduction in hair within the first few sessions, but you're gonna need that 8 to 12. You gotta be patient. Something else that might be considered a con, you gotta commit to the look. So the reason why it took me forever to do laser on my bikini area was because I was like, dang, I don't know. Like sometimes I like to have hair down there, sometimes I don't. So I came up with a compromise. I got the laser hair removal, but I left myself with a landing strip. And that's a perfect compromise for me because then I can determine, how much of the landing strip. Do I want a full landing strip? Do I want a manicured landing strip, or, whatever. And I can do that without worrying about the sides wolfing out when I want to go put on a swimsuit. Now, there are some people who are not good candidates for laser hair removal. So if you have a condition like PCOS, make sure you talk to your provider first to manage your expectations. Now, of course, this is not to say that if you have PCOS that you cannot get laser hair removal, but for some people, you may not be a great candidate. That's why I'm telling you to talk to, medical peoples them first so that they can set up your expectations. Lasers cannot detect gray hair. So, and yes, you can get gray hairs anywhere. Now, if that's the case, and you're also someone who's not a good candidate for laser hair removal, you may want to look into electrolysis. So electrolysis is actual permanent hair removal. They go in and they zap the hairs to permanently get rid of them. However, they do it individually, hair by hair. Now, because they're removing the hairs individually, electrolysis is usually recommended for smaller areas where maybe there's not that much hair, but you can get electrolysis done in your bikini area, in your underarm if you want to. It might take a lot longer though. With electrolysis, you can still run the risk of scarring darker skin, so when you're getting that, make sure you go to someone with receipts that they know what they're doing with skin of color. I haven't had electrolysis done, so I can't compare it to laser hair removal, but if you've had it done, leave your comment with your experience below, whether it was good or bad. And if you want to come on the channel and talk to us about it, that's even better, because I would love to have that story out there. Make sure you email me. I'll leave my email in the description box. Now, speaking of hair, what grade do you think that your protective style would get? Now, that's a bit of an odd segue. However, coming up in the next video, a dermatologist who specializes in hair loss is grading your protective style, your braids, your bantu knots, your faux locks, all of that, and I'll see you in it.